Did you check it though, the camera?
Hello and Allahu Akbar. Time is 8:30. Today is Sunday, 22nd. So I'm trying to do another video today, Sunday. Go from the line 75 to 80. And this is what we read. Baha'u'llah says, asking God, which he as a human being asked, he as a human being asked the God as a manifestation, which he is. He says, Barvazan moshke ilahi ra ze jan. Barvazan means basically give out. Moshk, we said, is musk, but moshke ilahi, the divine musk. I said the musk comes from the deer, called musk deer, deer musk. But he's talking about the divine musk. Ra Zijan. He's asking from within the spirit, there is a musk. Our soul is like a divine deer. In it there is a musk, a beautiful fragrance, he says. It's a divine one. He says, give that out. Tauze atrat bu barandi now kesan. Till from your, atr means perfume. Atrat means your perfume. Bu means the smell. Bu barand, they get the smell from your atr. Atr is the fragrance. Who? This Nakesan. Nakesan, I explained. Kas means a person. Nakes means non-person. It's an insult in the Persian language if you call a person Nakes. Means you're shyster. You are not true. You're a liar. You're not man enough. Baha'u'llah says that. There is a musk in our soul. You know, if wafts over, he says to God, give it out. Till from the fragrance of your fragrance, the smell. This nakesan, those who can't. Is there such a thing that a man of a spiritual man really has that divine smell to it? Oh, definitely it does. I have experienced that a lot of time in my life. But you know, it's not a smell, it's that divine things. When I looked at the eyes and the look of Susan Marshall, I saw that in her. Many of these examples I've seen. Bob says, if the person is the spiritual, even if you enter his house, the spirituality comes right off the wall. Everything really gets affected by it. We were teaching Baha'i Faith in Thunder Bay. I brought this a story once upon a time. There were a couple of these Anglo-Saxon guys. David Troop, Jesse Urima, 118, 122 I guess. They became Baha'i and we started a Baha'i project, and we ended up going with my car from Thunder Bay to Montreal. It was the environmental day or whatever, was something to do with David Suzuki as well. It was a big salon, you know, a lot of people were there in that place. As soon as we entered in, I saw the whole, all of the people there, maybe 500 of them, or 200, 300. They were all just looking at Dave and Jesse. Me and Nasrullah sat down. I said, Nasrullah, we'll look at it. Basically, the whole thing was interrupted. I don't know, it was just out of the place for these guys coming with this. They were not ruffian look too, they were just simply spiritual. I saw that. I remember when I was teaching in Iran, I entered the house, and one of the people that became Baha'i, his name was Jawad. They call him Jawad Shuli, means Jawad the Luz. This guy would walk and would just keep looking around for some reason at anything. I would take him half an hour to walk the 5 minutes walk. He would just stares at everything. You know, clumsy Jawad. He became Baha'i, this boy. And we were invited by some member of the family of Mustafa, relative of him. They were very respected people. Some were in Tehran. And I saw this guy who knows nothing. I'm serious. Jawad didn't know anything. Maybe he heard a few words. He was talking about mysticism and Hallaj and Bayazid to these Muslims. They were listening to him like a child, listening to an expert. You know, I always observe those things. I was saying to myself, look, you know, and verily that's what Baha'u'llah says. If that divine musk comes from the soul, it will smell out. Even these non-persons, naqis, even they see it for themselves, smell it. Then he says, in Bahar Ruh Bashad Javdan, this spring of Ruh, spirit, is Javdan, eternal. Javdan is a Persian word, which we have, you know, we're lucky as a Persian, we have all the Persian and Arabic word. In Arab is Samad, Sarmat. In here we have Javdan, Hamishagi. So this spring of a spirit is eternal. Nei Bahari Kaz Peyash Awiyat Khazan. Nay almost means like English nay. See? No, nay. Nay Bahari, not. Nay means not, is English, just like English. Nay, not. Bahari, the spring. Kaz is the abbreviations of Ke as. That is. That from. Ke means that, Ze means from. That from. Ke as. The H and Aleph falls and simply they write K and Z. Kaz. So Kaz means Kaz. In poetry we just say Kaz. Not the spring, that from Peyash. It's behind. I wrote down it separately. Ash means the pronoun for the pay. Pay means behind. The back. Not the spring that from its behind comes Khazan. Ayat means comes. Khazan, fall, autumn, shedding. It says, this spirit of the spring is eternal, not the spring that comes from its behind, Khazan. Khazan does not involve in the spiritual spring. So on the third line, he says, Zin Bahar Quds Ruh Awiyad Burun. From this spring, Quds means sanctified. From this sanctified spring, Ruh, the spirit, comes out. Brun means out, outside. From this holy spring, your spirit comes out. Vaz halawiyash, nur awiyad burun. Vaz means va as, a is fallen, vaz means and, from, its hava, weather, space. Nure, lights of, nu means Noah. Ayat comes out. So, and from its air, the light of Noah comes out. So, as explanations of spring again, he's defining the revelation of God. Talks about the Nuh again, which is Noah. He says, برنشاند اهل کشتی را به فلک. برنشاند sat. Ahl, the people that gets into the ship, the passengers of the ship, wow, you can see that. I just noticed it right now. Keshti is actually means a ship. So it's folk. Folk also is ship. This is Arabic, that's Persian. So those, he says, برنشاند اهل کشتی را, those who are of the ship, sats them into the ship. So not anybody can come in this ship, he says. Those who are of this kashti. Some people are not just a part of the ark of Baha'u'llah. Kashti means ark, you know, or ship. So he says, he will put them, sats them, the ahl, the people of, those who are the denizens of the ark, into the ship. And then what does he do? پس ببخشد هر که را صد گونه ملک. Then he gives away هر every که one را that صد hundreds گونه way like of mulk. Mulk means possession. Then he gives everyone 100 types of possessions. This possession of the mulk, of course, is not again the possession, but the things that are hidden in us. We have a lot of spiritual potentialities, and those things, he says, if we are the denizens of the ark, Noah, which in this case it's him, is the great Holy Spirit, he'll find us and put us into that ark. In there we will find our potentials. Every one of us will find out once we get into the ark, there's a lot of things that we could do that we didn't know that. For example, that same Dave was telling me that the priest has invited them. They felt, you know, that these two people are coming Baha'i, him and I don't know, Jesse or Vince. They went to see this priest. I said the priest was astounded from our knowledge. I said, Dave, what do you know? It wasn't the knowledge at all. The priest was under the influence of their characters, you see. Things that I didn't know of it. Okay, in the final line here of this 5, he says, A Jamalullah. You have heard Baha'u'llah. Now this is Jamalullah. There is a Persian prayer that has about 22 names of God. 19 of them was adopted by the Bab, and they start from Baha, then Jamal, then Jalal, then Qudrat, and so on. Baha is the first, Jamal is the second of that prayer. Jamalullah, A-O, Jamalullah, the beauty of Allah, the beauty of God. Burun au, come out, show off, manifest, burun au, manifest from niqab and mask. Niqab means mask. So, O beauty of Allah, come out from the niqab, from the mask. Ta burun ayat, till comes out. Out burun ayat out. Burun out ayat comes. Till comes out from the maghreb west. Aftab, sun. So says a beauty, O beauty of Allah, comes out from the mosque till comes out from the west, the sun. A lot of Baha'is, rightfully so, they think that, well, what happens in the west, Baha'is in Iran, they would never dream it. What happened in the west truly is the fulfillment of one of the prophecies of Muhammad recorded everywhere, including Abul Fazl al-Golpaygani in his book, the commentary on the book of Sir Chitu has brought this particular tradition of Islam, so as I have put it in my book, is everywhere. It's probably right on the internet, everywhere you want to go. It says the day of resurrection will not happen until the sun shines from the west or rises from the west. Well, it's as an impossible situation. If it is the literal sun will not come out of the west. So what would that be? Would that be the coming out of the Baha'i faith from the west? Will that be the fulfillment of the Baha'i faith in the west, that they would, as it is written by Shogi Effendi, by Baha'u'llah even, that people of the west will take this new cause of God and spread it in the world? But this is not exactly that one. This Jamalullah, which is the beauty of the face of God, is exactly refers to Baha'u'llah himself. So anything else would not be that. But he says, if Muslims are waiting for the sun to be risen from the west, Baha'u'llah prays, he says, hey, the beauty of Allah, come and mask yourself. Then sun will rise from the west. Okay. This west is not necessarily United States, okay. This west is the Western culture, is what is opposite to the East culture. So Australia is also west, if you want to know, in this case. So from the Western culture, the light will come from there. One of its fulfillment is the coming of Abdul Baha in the US. Because when he came to US, truly he is the branch of Baha'u'llah and manifesting all of its power. So you could say that. But Abdul Baha, then again, he came in the West, but he did not rise in the West. He was always in the East. I should mean something else, in my opinion. Once upon a time in 1993, when I sent my book called The Mathnavi of Five Elders to one of the readers of the Universal House of Justice, Dr. Ali Akbar Tabana in Georgia, he was amazed by my poetry. He says, you are the return of Rumi. He really liked my poetry. I'm amazed, he said. And I have his letter. He told me, what is this five means? Why is it five elders? I told him, I cannot tell you that right now, sir. I'll be in the future. This is a reference to the coming of the five elders in the West, because it is in the writing. In the West, they are, it says, the inheritors of the concourse on high. They're going to inherit those concourse on high. Canada, out of all the places, accepted to bring the Baha'is here. Therefore, the elders, which I'm one of them, came in the West. So the position of the elder, not the individual person as an elder, that really have to be remained and decided after the person died, because before death they could change their, attitude and they turn to become the enemy of God. Who knows that? It has already happened to the Christianity, to Islam, and to the Baha'i faith, which one of the letters of the living, Hadi Qazvini, he went against Baha'u'llah, joined Azal and poisoned Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah calls him, the very hell, His name is Hadi. He tells him, oh, H, which is the first letter of his name. He says, you are the H of the Haviyeh, which means the H of the hell. He was cast off. And instead there was another one who built the Mashriq al-Askar, the Baha'i temple in Russia, replaced him, and 5 others who would come in future. So this is not my personal opinion or anything. It is right into some answered questions, if you ever read that. Abdul-Baha says, the elders are eternal king. They rule eternally, he says. Although they rule eternally, but they are subordinate to the manifestation of God, which is the universal manifestation, Baha'u'llah. So elders are some kind of a semi-prophet. Their claim and their station is not that of a prophet, but it is in a way like them, because they have to realize the message themselves, just like the letters of the living. Elders cannot be appointed, cannot be taught, cannot be said to them. You can't teach them. It has to be directly under the control of Abdul-Baha and Baha'u'llah. They are a part of the cause of God, this government of God. So this, if the beauty of God comes out of the unmask itself, Baha'u'llah says, from the west, this sun will shine again. I am but myself a nobody, I have to tell you many times, but the office that I occupy, it is a sanctified, holy, beyond imaginations. As I said, very close to the Prophet of God himself. But the individual that's on it, it's nothing. Baha'u'llah says, I take myself as utter nothing when I compare myself to one of the servants of God. Who am I then? I've given myself a name. In all my writing, I call myself the bulldog of Baha'u'llah. If you know Darwinism, Aldous Huxley used to be called the bulldog of Darwin. I am the bulldog of Baha'u'llah. I say that he is the shepherd. When the shepherd is not around, he puts the dog in charge. Okay? And the reason for these 5 elders to come later is not very difficult, because in the traditions of mankind, they always created problem. When manifestation, as soon as he left, they, created problem for themselves, for people. They miss a lot of misuse, a lot of mishaps, as it is right now in the faith. Knowing this, God has kept these people on the back, as a back burner, to come and fix a problem. So, a lot of Baha'is, those hear what I say, if they seriously repudiate it, I hope God forgives them. But if somebody denies the message that I bring about the universal laws of guardianship, he's directly gone against the writing of Shawqi Effendi and Abdul-Baha, which is the Baha'u'llah then. Then we don't have partial Baha'is. You can't say, I believe in Bab, therefore I'm not Muslims. You are nobody. I believe in Baha'u'llah, you are nobody. You have to believe in Abdul-Baha, Shawqi Effendi, and all the Baha'i administration or the World Order of Baha'u'llah. At the moment, the World Order of Baha'u'llah, which is universal laws of justice, it is been there, but it cannot do its main function, which is the legislations, because they're not allowed to interpret. If you cannot interpret and understand the meaning of the book of God, how can you legislate? It's impossible. Baha'u'llah purposely has done this to keep the members of the male there. So the need arises for the female to come to be elected in the universal laws of guardianship to create this pair, that the entire universe is basically consists of and comprised with. Without these two, And it's not like in Islam you say that, well, we don't need the universal laws of guardianship. Not in the Baha'i faith. It says if you do not accept divorce from the institution of guardianship, will imperil the entire fabric of the faith of God. There is no faith. There is nothing. If you separate the universal laws of guardianship from universal laws of justice, there is no Baha'i administration, really. It's something then, your own made. You can't cut my head and say that, I want to take the head of Abbas. Somebody says, I want the body. None of them have me. They all, they killed me, basically. If in the Baha'i faith, if you don't accept part of it, it's broken. Somebody was saying that, in Islam was like that too. People didn't believe in the guardianship. Islam went on. I told them that. The difference between the Islam and Baha'i faith is the difference between the television and a shovel. If the shovel's handle breaks, you could still use both the shovel and the handle for something. But if TV, one little thing breaks, the TV doesn't work and the damn thing is not good for nothing. Baha'i faith is like that. It's either everything or nothing. So this is what it means that from the west the sun comes. It's written in writing, Advent of Divine Justice, the future of Canada, both spiritually and physically, is great. So this is a fulfillment of the manifestation of God through the 5 elders in the West. Bob says there's 3 ways you can see a manifestation of God. First of all is through the major prophet of God, such as Baha'u'llah, Jesus, Moses and whatnot. Then through their successor, which is Abdul Baha and Shobli Effendi, infallible. Then he says through the believers, sound believers. In this case, hands of the cause of God. If you attain martyrhood, you have attained the presence of God. That's according to Bob. And in the Baha'i faith is, of course, there. You can see it all the time. He says that. All right. Time is 9 o'clock. I shall step down. If you have any questions, I welcome your questions. Go on and send email, and I will answer it for you. I'm not seeking anything from you, honestly, for myself. I'm just saying that study to see there might be a truth. It is not right for you to just stick to the point that we will have to go follow the universal laws of justice and call this institution in Haifa the universal laws of justice. If it is a universal laws of justice, as it has to be the way it is elected, it will not have the function that it's supposed to have without the institution of guardianship. That's not going to work. That's the writing, okay? See you people again.